A tower defense game is a game where enemies go from point A to point B, and your goal is to stop them with whatever units you are provided with. But is that really all there is to it? I mean, in a gameplay sense, it sounds simple really, a tale as old as war itself. Don't let the other guy get to your valued base, but does this not also describe war itself in a literal sense? Well, yes, I suppose so, but also, that's not really what the whole story is. While this is in fact what tower defense is, it's also something more than just the idea. Or else, everything would be called a TD game if you really put your mind to it. Now, you may be wondering, but Taiga, why do you care? To that I say, I just like to overthink simple questions. Tower defense is a game type that was pioneered by Space Invaders all the way back in 1978. This is a game that pretty much everyone has at least heard of, if not played themselves. Oh, though maybe that's just me speaking as an elderly man. This is one of the old classics that made gaming popular to begin with. Although if you want to get technical, the first game that could fit comfortably into our standard idea of TD games was actually Rampart, made by Midway Games in Japan, which, fun fact, is also the game company responsible for Mortal Kombat, which is ironic because the company itself suffered a bit of a fatality when it went bankrupt 12 years ago. Rampart is a game where you make walls to defend your castles from oncoming naval bombardment. And also, the box art kind of looks like the Soy Jack pointing meme, and well and truly that is ahead of its time. This game is as simple as it gets, really. We're just defending our tower. Yeah. This simple game concept unsurprisingly became common during the earlier years of gaming, and there's an obvious answer as to why. Tower defense at its core is a game where you defend yourselves from ever-evolving enemies using whatever equipment you have, and that's the entire objective. If well designed enough, this kind of game can have endless hours of gameplay as you try any combination of defenses you can think of. Tower defense reached its peak popularity in the early to mid-2000s. This is primarily because of the advent of Flash games. Flash was formerly the premier place for online gaming for many, and tower defense was an easy type of game to make for newbie coders, because I mean, you just make thing go to place, and then you put place thing. I couldn't even begin to mention specific titles, but if you were there, you would know what I mean. But if I had to guess, there's probably thousands of these Flash games, whether good, bad, or barely functional. Although there's definitely one that my audience may or not be a little familiar with, and is arguably probably the most popular tower defense game of all time. But that game won't be relevant for a few years, so let's talk about this one first. And this game wasn't some random Flash game, it was a professionally made TD game straight from one of the most overlooked trendsetters of all time. Like, seriously, between Plants vs. Zombies and Bejeweled, this company has started a lot of trends in gaming, and I kinda like that. But let's not talk about that here. Anyway, Plants vs. Zombies is a textbook tower defense, but has the distinction of coming down a line. Some would argue that this row-based TD is its own subgenre, but still a TD nonetheless. However, not long after the release of said PvZ, admittedly tower defense goes on a bit of a decline. As of right now, tower defense is certainly not really as popular as it used to be, or at least not as a standalone genre. There are some exceptions like Clash of Clans, Bone Star Defense, Orcs Must Die, but these games are an exception to a rule, I say. The rule being that oftentimes TD games are reserved for mini-games, or a mixture, like a roguelike that has tower defense elements, for example. And I think this is mostly just because the market doesn't really demand it. There are still tower defense games being made, some of them are actually quite good, mind you. But as of right now, pure tower defense games are something that nobody really seems to want to play anymore. Which, you know, that's okay. This isn't some doomer rant on how tower defense is dead, this is more so just a observation of a transformation of a genre. And also, kind of a twist on the actual title of the video, because sure we know what tower defense is, but in the modern day, tower defense is more of a niche that some enjoy, or some just enjoy as a sorta element and not the whole game. So in the end, we've definitely defined what tower defense is, but the question is, where is it really going? That's not really a question for this video, but it's going to be an interesting future to see. Because, well, I've been a fan of this genre since forever, and I imagine that won't change anytime soon. In fact, while making this video, I saw a lot of different games that are quite new in the genre, and honestly, I kinda like them. And I was thinking that if you fellas actually like this video, maybe you'd want to see a little mini-series of me playing some newer, indie studio-ish kinda tower defense games. But with that said, I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed the video, perhaps click the button that goes the arrow, the thumb up, and subscribe, because it is a cool thing to do. But with that said, I shall bid you all a farewell.